In the very early period of Tonganoxie, not much is known about the school system. It was not until 1874, after a two-story permanent building was constructed, that documentation of the school system became known. We do have some evidence of a log cabin school established in 1864. On December 2nd, 1897, the Tonganoxie Mirror reported, "The first school was a log cabin established 2 years before Tonganoxie was platted. The teacher was Helen Tuttle, who lived in the Crawford Moore home northeast of town. This school lasted 2 years." Reference is noted to a subscription school in 1866 located in the old Tonganoxie house, a log cabin now owned by Mrs. Rice. It was supposed to be a short-term school, and no other information is known about this school. District 28 was established in 1866, and references have been noted that in 1867 a log cabin school was established south of the creek, probably Little Tongue Creek, and near First Street. This location could easily have been the log cabin school on the land purchased by Reverend Woodcock. In the history of the Congregational Church, it is noted that Reverend Woodcock purchased 4¾ acres of town lots on which an old log cabin school existed. It further states that this building was used for a few years as a church. This map shows the known location of the Friends and Congregational Church in relation to where the speculated location of the log cabin school that Reverend Woodcock purchased. This location seems possible and consistent with other descriptions of this school. It was 18 feet by 40 feet with a door opening to the south. It was constructed by R.H. Taylor for $300 and located south of the Elliott House. The original Elliott House was on 4th Street in the 500 block. The Elliott House moved to north of the grade school. Later, the Jones brothers operated a store in the original Elliott House location on 4th Street. Mr. McAllister volunteered to teach what he knew, and John Kirby taught here. At one time, there were 117 students, of which the largest number were black. Generally, most historians have a large two-story brick room school building constructed in 1874. One source uses 1870 as the date. It was built for $5,000 and an additional $1,000 was added the next year. The land was given by the Cobb Valley Town Company, whose members were generally Union Pacific people. There were several different principals in the early days. One was L.D.L. Tass, another was Dr. Varney, a John Kirby, his brother T.F. Kirby, and Mr. Stanley. Walter Cookland came for a year in 1877 and left for a year or two and then came back in 1881. He was in charge of the school system for several years. Also, an A. McLawrence was involved with the early school. The location was on the north side of 3rd Street. This old school building was torn down in 1897, and a new and larger brick building was constructed on the same site. This building lasted until the mid-1950s when it was replaced by a larger but a one-story grade school. The photo of the large brick building is generally thought to be the first large grade school built in 1874, but in fact, this picture is the second grade school built in 1897. This building had a 4-room classroom on the first floor and four classrooms on the second floor. The boys' restroom was in the basement on the east side, and the girls' restrooms were in the basement on the west side. It had a boiler room and a playroom. In 1898, there was a one-year high school held on the second floor. It was considered a success and was soon expanded to a 2-year high school. L.M. Spray was a principal, and he also taught 25 advanced students, which was then the high school. In 1901, a high school graduation was held in Lamming Hall. Remember, this was not a 4-year high school, but a 1-year high school, which involved special classes. Total number of pupils in this school was 183. Ella Davis was the first primary school teacher with 47 kids, and Mary Fennessy was a second primary teacher with 36 kids. And Mrs. Blythe was the intermediate school teacher. After the high school was constructed, grades 1 and 4 were on the first floor, and grades 5 through 8 were on the second floor. Tonganoxie Rural High School was built in 1910. It was north of the present grade school and contained 8 classrooms with 4 on the second floor and 4 on the first floor. It had an office. The girls' restrooms were on the second floor and the boys were on the first floor. It also had a basement and a boiler room. Baseball, football, and basketball were always important school activities. I don't know if basketball was played before 1925 when the gym and auditorium were added, but after 1925, Tonganoxie had several championship basketball teams. Additional classroom space was made available with the 1925 edition. In the early 1950s, the gym was enlarged to the south. What really happened was the basketball court was enlarged so one didn't have to worry about hitting the wall on a basketball fast break, and an exit was added to the east of the basketball court. Football and baseball were very popular, and that popularity extended into sponsored town teams. Haskell came to town several times to play football. I can remember my dad telling about the Haskell B team showing up for a Sunday afternoon game and playing the first half of the game with Tonganoxie winning. But the A team came for the second half and the story was different. The Tongi boys were soundly defeated. One of the great Haskell players, John Levi, was on that team. He picked up my dad by the seat of his pants and tossed him backwards 3 to 4 yards.
So, and the high school at that time was located on 2nd Street?
Yeah.
Second
The original part of it
Shawnee
was a
and
square building,
Mm-hmm.
and then they added an auditorium and some classrooms, must have been about 1925.
Okay.
I think maybe 125 students in the high school, give or take. Our class, I was graduating 38, and ours was the biggest class they'd had for some time. There were 48 in our class,
Oh. Mm-hmm.
but the rest of them were pretty small. Football, basketball, and baseball were the sports,
Mm-hmm.
and they played for a while in what was called Elm Park. And they had a stage. We had operas and plays and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Most everybody got to participate one way or another.
Maypole was an activity I never really had a chance to understand. I'm told the goal was to make different designs with the colored strings as you wove your way around the pole.
Until I had an accident. Then I had 41 parade, something like that. That's what he wants to hear about. I had a little bell on it.
And what?
I had a bell mounted on the floor, and I could step on it. It's a ding dong, but it was somewhat louder than that though.
Well, he would do more than that.
All right, let's have it.
No, I was pretty good. I was very good at driving.
You were a good driver, but you see how close you could get to the parked cars and you'd ring that bell.
They knew when you were coming then, didn't they?
Yeah, they heard.
Did you take shop under Mac?
Yeah.
You remember when Kenny Oakes got his
I
finger
was,
cut off?
I was standing right next to him when it happened.
How did he pitch a board?
Nobody knows how it really happened. I was standing right waiting for him, and I looked up. I seen a finger go across the room. Kenny, it happened so quick. Kenny looked. Then all at once it hit him.
He was over sitting down holding his finger.
Kenny Olson.
Freshman initiation historically was a great thing. The seniors got the pleasure of causing stress on the freshmen. From what I can find, in those early days, the boys at least had some physical stress as running the belt line and feeling belt buckles. In the mid-1950s, I thought it was fun, both as a freshman and as a senior. The process started when you arrived at school dressed funny. It progressed all day and ended with a party at the high school. Historically, I believe there was a parade throughout the downtown. When you arrived at the school for the evening festivities, various tasks were assigned to the freshmen. Some were individual tasks and some were group efforts. The group efforts might be polishing the gym floor with a toothbrush or your nose, depending upon the year, shining shoes and stuff like that. The individual tasks might be push-ups or scavenger type hunts for specific items. This could be an individual event or 2 or 3 more additional players might be added. I suppose it could have been considered hazing, but I never felt that way, and everyone knew from past history what to expect. In the really old days, it might have been hazing. I don't think it's part of the school functions now. And of course, all the boys out for football had to worry about the square needle. My attitude was if they could do it, I could do it. I wondered how it might feel. That fear was unfounded, but if it were true, I think it might have been more than I wanted. In 1954, the old elementary school was torn down and a new grade school was constructed east of the original grade school. It was all on one level. In 1961, a new wing was added for the first grade. Eventually, the grade school would occupy most of the land from the 2nd Street to 4th Street. 1964, a new high school was built on US 2440. The first graduating class was 1965. From 1964 to 1987, the old high school on 2nd Street was the junior high school. In 1975, a science wing was added to the high school and the 4th grade wing, and a library was added to the grade school. In 1987, a kindergarten room and a 6th grade wing was added to the grade school, and a new junior high was built next to the high school on US 2440. The old junior high was torn down except for the gym, which is being used by the elementary school. And in 2015, the old grade school is now for sale, and the new grade school was opened near the junior high on the southeast portion of town. And now the school traffic problems have moved from 4th Street and 2nd Street to Evans Road.